Thanks for checking in to Pivoting to Web3 Podcast. Go to pivotingtoweb3podcast.com to download and listen, or Web3 Game Plan to check out the videos. Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Pivoting to Web3. And today we have Nick Jain. Nick Jain is the CEO of IdeaScale, but he has a real interesting background. And I was very curious and really wanted to have him on the show. And I was glad when he reached out as well, because he's also in the game with Web3, the ecosystems, and he's one of those big platforms that he has experience with, the big companies where they're doing a lot of great things and using SaaS. So, Nick, I'd like to turn it over to you so you can give us some more insight on how you got all of this fabulous big background and the work you're doing today. How did you end up coming into Web3 and everything that you're having your hands on?
Sure. So I ended up in software more by coincidence than anything else. When I was working in private equity many years ago, a private equity investor in SaaS, and I learned a little bit about technology. When blockchain was coming out, I'm a math major, and so I actually read the original Sato paper, the original Bitcoin paper. I was a bit of a math nerd, so it's really cool stuff to learn when you actually love that. And about 2 years ago, for the past 4 or 5 years, I've been a professional CEO. I've helped run a $100 million revenue trucking company, then a small men's shoe company. And then about 2 years ago, I literally got a random call out of the blue from somebody I'd met a couple years ago and said, "Hey, I have a friend who's looking for a CEO for his SaaS business because the old CEO is retiring. Are you interested?" And I absolutely jumped at the opportunity because up until then, I'd been kind of co-CEO, or I'm part of like a three-person executive team. And finally, someone is giving me an opportunity to take to take the big chair and really run a software company, which was an incredible it was an incredible career opportunity for me, but B, what IdeaScale, this company that I'm at, does really aligns with my values. I've always believed that ideas matter more than the seniority of the people who say those ideas, and that's literally our product. So it was like a personal great fit for me.
So, with that said, with the ideas, because I remember the days where ideas that fly and a lot of ideas would fly and they flew and they get implemented. So, with all the ideas and what you're doing today and coming into that space, how is AI and all the emerging technology, how's that impacting your business? And how is your business impacting Web3?
Sure. So on AI impacting us, I think AI is impacting innovation more broadly in three ways. Number one is reducing duplicative innovation. So if you have three different people, let's imagine one person's sitting in Japan working in Japanese, one person sitting in Russia working in Russian, and one person sitting in Britain working in English. They're all part of the same company. They may be working on the exact same idea, but they don't know it because they're all speaking different languages and they're all talking about similar concepts in different ways,
Mm-hmm.
even beyond the language barrier. So AI helps those people connect because it can realize that, hey, person A, person B, and person C are working on similar ideas, and you can link those people and help them collaborate. So that's number one, and that's really happening in our technology, and that's something a feature that we implemented a couple of years ago. The second area is AI is purely from a communication point of view. One of the things that a lot of people struggle with when they're about to innovate is what I call stage fright. They're just afraid of sharing their ideas because they think they'll sound stupid. They're not going to use the big fancy 10-letter words from
Mm-hmm.
SA. They're not going to use SAT words. So AI has really decreased the barrier to entry for people to communicate more effectively. And this could be because you're not a native English speaker, or even for native English speakers, you're just not the greatest writer or communicator. So it's lowered the barrier for entry and made it easier for everyone to communicate their great ideas, regardless of their faculty with language. And then the third thing is um, AI technologies are helping people innovate faster and better because they can co-pilot alongside a human being. So rather than a human being sitting in a dark room by themselves and coming up with the next genius idea, these AI tools can help. For Web3 specifically, I don't know if whether IdeaScale's technology directly works with Web3, but some of our clients are actually Web3. So there's this organization called Cardano. It's a blockchain-based think tank. It's actually one of the biggest blockchain think tanks in the world, founded by the one of the founders of Ethereum. So very prominent organization. They've been one of our customers for, I don't know, a decade or so. They run Cardano basically runs a big project for how do we advance blockchain, and where they're collecting ideas from thousands or hundreds of thousands of people who want to contribute to the advancement of blockchain technologies. And that entire community ecosystem for Cardano runs on our software, which we're very, very proud of.
Well, I would be very proud of that as well, because once you start bringing in the blockchain technology and the advancements, do you see a lot of interoperability happening with the blockchain technology going forward, or has that started happening already?
So for blockchain specifically, the cool innovation is that you can have two things, right? Number one, you can have decentralized storage of information. And number two, it's really, really difficult to hack given the amount of computational resources that are required. Now, those two benefits come at certain other costs. Distributed compute is more expensive. Dehashing blockchain is also computing blockchain hashes is very expensive. So it's wasted energy, it's wasted computational time and resources. What that means is blockchain is not a perfect solution for all use cases. It's great in some areas where you want to get rid of trust and make it very difficult for someone to hack a system. But conversely, it's really, you're doing that at a cost of an enormous amount of electricity and computational power. So there's other situations where traditional centralized systems may actually matter more. What that's meant in a technology ecosystem sense is there certain technologies that have naturally said, hey, we should be running on blockchain that now that it exists, and we're going to switch to blockchain. There's other technologies where you don't need that level of security or decentralized information that'll still stay on centralized servers of some sort.
So with that said, I've got an audience that may be throughout the spectrum. Got some corporations, some big corporations, some brands, and some entrepreneurs. How do they know when they need to be looking at, let's say, blockchain technology, or at least researching it or thinking about it, or nonprofit? Since you have a lot of the thought leaders in your circle and on your platform, and they're really looking towards the future and advancements, what's the regular old CEO or solopreneur or regular brand that knows they're going to have to keep up? Everybody's like, don't be left behind, don't be left behind. So they try not to get left behind, and now they listening to Pivoting to Web3. What can you share with them, with everything that you stated, to help them move forward and not be left behind?
Sure. So for most people who are not in technology, it actually won't matter very much because when you're buying your software, that could be Salesforce, that could be AWS services from Amazon, that could be our software. If you're buying software rather than making software, you may not actually have to worry about Web3 too much because you're hoping, and this is a little bit of a hope, that the people you're buying software from have been much more thoughtful about whether they need to be on Web 3.0 technologies or Web 2.0 technologies. So if you're an oil company and you're buying a CRM system, a customer relationship management system for your sales and marketing team, you're hoping that your CRM company has done some really thoughtful analysis on what sort of infrastructure they need to be running on and what sort of technology they need to be running on. So I would say two pieces of advice. Number one, if you're not in technology, you probably don't need to worry too much about Web3 or, because your technology people already are. Your technology vendors already are. And the second thing is, if you, as a leader, you are genuinely interested in this technology, there's two resources you can do to learn how it might affect you or in your business. Number one is there's a lot of free courses like on Web 3.0 technology at places like Coursera, which you can take. It'll take 10 to 30 hours of time to do and totally free. So you can go learn a lot about these technologies and you can be super technical from a code perspective, or just, hey, I'm a layman. I don't know anything about technology or coding, and I want to just learn about what the hell this technology is. So the second resource is you can go to any of the generative AI technologies, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, Llama, and give it context about your business. Say, hey, my name is Nick. I run a men's shoe company. Tell me how called XYZ. Tell me how Web3 technologies are going to affect my shoe business. And it's really interesting because these ChatGPT and similar technologies are actually going to give you very thoughtful answers on how you, despite running a shoe business, are still going to be impacted by Web 3.0.
So when you talk about all the chat GPTs, and if you're into technology or not into technology, and somebody's really interested now in looking at your platform, how do they know what makes your platform different than what's out there today? Who are your competitors, and what makes your platform really unique?
Sure. So we have about 9 or 10 competitors globally. I think we're the biggest and most well established of them. If you go to Gartner, G2, or Capter, any of the software rating platforms, you can look up you can look up who our competitors are. I think that there's three things that we do really, really well versus our peer group. Number one is our software is really easy to use. We've made it so that my 80-year-old parents can log in and start using our software within seconds. The admin who's setting it up for the first time can do it in 5 minutes. You don't need to spend weeks and hours configuring this software. That's number one, super easy to use. Number two is how much we've invested in product quality. So a lot of technology companies spend more on sales and marketing than they do in the actual product that they're building. And we've spent an inordinate amount of resources, money, time, making sure our product quality is really high. And that means it's very, very low to zero bugs, which is something we're very proud of.
Mm-hmm.
It means that we've tried to really focus on the user experience to make it very easy for the user to understand what's going on and to actually participate in the software. And I think the third thing is separate from our software, I think the way our company reacts and supports its customers. So I provide 24/7, 365 live human customer support. So on midnight on Christmas Eve, if you have a problem, you can you can talk to a real human being who will help you solve your problems with an average response time of, I think, 22 seconds.
Oh,
So
wow.
22 seconds, any time of day or night, any time of year. And in addition, for issues that become serious or important, I'm personally involved. One of our customers had an accessibility issue where they felt that our software was not uh, totally available to people with disabilities. And I personally, every day, worked with them to make sure that our standard not only met our accessibility standards, not only met what they asked for, but exceeded it because we felt it was the right thing to do. And that's a level of customer service, whether it be the junior customer support person, all the way up to me as a CEO, that we think our customers deserve that, and we provide that level of access to us as people behind the software.
That's very impressive. So if someone's listening right now, how do they know if they've got the type of business that can benefit with your software? Or I guess what I'm really asking is, can you give us a use case on what your software has accomplished in that project and what would have happened if your software was not utilized in the manner that it was? Can you paint us a picture of a project without breaking any type of NDAs or anything
Yeah,
like
of
that?
course.
But so we can really wrap our heads around everything that you're sharing with us. I have an idea what you're saying, and I got some really fine ideas on what you're doing, only because I'm in that software space and have been in that space. But for those listening, I think it would be helpful if you could break it down just a little bit further on what were some of the projects that you had success and maybe what was a project that got a little out of control, which you shared with us and you had to walk them through it. But share with us a couple of things that happened. I
Sure.
want
So
a secret.
yeah, I'll answer the first half of your question, the second half. The first, who is our software meant for? Our software is really meant for any large, complex organization. Typically, I say that somebody who's got more than 500 employees in their organization, right? That could be 500 or 500,000. Below 100 people, our software is totally free, by the way. If you've got a small organization, you can go out to ideascale.com and sign up and have a perpetual free license for your small organization. Obviously, we're hoping your organization grows, that we get to grow with you as eventually a supplier. So we have customers in pharmaceuticals and finance and healthcare and some of the largest U.S. government agencies, U.S. Post Office, the Transportation Safety Authority, the Coast Guard, other foreign governments. Like, we work with anybody who wants to innovate, which theoretically should be everybody, is a potential customer of ours. Now, examples of how a difference our software makes. I'll give two examples. Firstly, I'll give a fun example from us, and then secondly, I'll give a more serious example from our customers. So I was in Japan, I think back in May. And in Japan, I don't know if you know, but pretty much every Japanese company has a cute little mascot, right? It could
Mm-hmm.
be an animal, it could be a fruit, something like that. And they put on costumes for this during company events or organizational events. And I came back from Japan and said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if IdeaScale had a mascot? Now, at a normal company, the way you'd figure out your mascot is the CEO would sit down with his or her marketing team and say, okay, somebody come up with an idea for a mascot, and let's go do that. That's not what we did. We said, okay, anyone in the world can suggest what IdeaScale's new mascot should be. Hey, if you're a customer, if you're a student sitting somewhere in Taiwan, if you are an employee of IdeaScale, suggest ideas. I personally submitted 3 ideas, and 2 of my ideas people hated. They got voted down. People thought they were stupid ideas, right? One of my ideas was actually a finalist, but the winning idea was from a new employee from South Africa who just joined 6 months ago, right? And so his idea got chosen as our company-wide mascot. So number one, imagine the decision-making process was not 3 marketing people and the CEO, but the entire company and pretty much anybody who wanted to contribute in the world, not just in the company, but you could have contributed. And then secondly, the idea that one was not the idea of the CEO or of a senior marketing person or people involved in design, but just a random guy who cared enough to submit his idea. He used one of the generative AI tools to actually drop a sketch, and that was the winning idea. So we'll be actually announcing our new mascot in like a week or 2, but that's a fun example of where the decision-making process was different and the result was better. A more serious example is one of our customers, and I'll be a little bit vague here just because
That's okay.
I
I
don't try not to
understand.
talk about our customer. But one of our customers was one of the biggest fast food chains in the world. Right?
Hmm.
It's a place you've probably eaten sometime in the past couple of months if you eat fast food at all. Probably half the people in the world have been there at least once. They needed new menu items, and they have all these great chefs on staff. But they said, okay, let's go out and talk to our millions or hundreds of millions of customers around the world about what our new menu items should be. And that has 2 benefits. Number one, you tap hundreds of millions of people's brains, and number 2, you get people excited because they get to participate in contributing to their brand and to your brand. And so this company collected hundreds, or I forget whether it was hundreds or thousands of ideas, and they came up with a new menu item that they actually put on the menu and that you or I could eat, which is kind of imagine that, the A, they got just a better menu item as a consequence. B, they got all of us engaged as consumers because we cared about this restaurant and their brand enough to share ideas and realized, hey, my idea could be the next great menu item.
So it sounds like I like this. I'm sure someone else is thinking about this. So it sounds like it's one big idea place where everybody is there together instead of in their own little space and place of
Exactly.
Chat GPT. Everybody's there together. AI is running it back and forth. All the statistics, all the words, all the predictive, all the generative, all of everything is there together. That was a good idea. Who designed that platform?
So the original 2 founders were Rob Hohen and Viv Paskaran. So the IdeaScale has been around about 15 years, long before, so we've been around about 15 years. That's why we're pretty well established at this point. But yeah, these 2 guys came up with this idea way back in 2009. They founded the company, and we've been off to the races ever since.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's an excellent idea. So what in this space makes you nervous? What have you seen? What has happened that's made you nervous or given you a jaundiced eye, or it's like, I didn't realize all that could happen. And then on the flip side, what's on your wish list? It seems like you've experienced so much and you're in a platform and a software that is very robust and expansive globally. So you can make significant impact quickly. What concerns you on the flip side?
Sure. So what concerns me first is I think every one of our customers is looking for a silver bullet, right? Hey, if we hire this one person, can it solve our innovation problems? If we add this new technology, and look, as much as I would like to believe that our software will solve every problem in the world for you, it won't, right? Nothing does that. If you want to for example, if you want to improve your fitness, just eating healthy is not enough. You actually have to exercise a bit and sleep properly. You have to do many things. And that's true with innovation too. So I wish our customers realize that if they want to become truly innovative, they have to take a multifaceted approach. And I think we're a core part of that approach, but there's other changes that they need to make around people, around processes, around incentives, around culture. And I think that's a longer term realization that most organizations ultimately achieve, but everyone's looking for the silver bullet on day one. And again, I would love to be that silver bullet, but there is no silver bullet in anything in life. And then on my wish list, I don't know if I have a wish list, but I'm kind of looking forward to the fact that like about a year ago, IdeaScale was really a 1 product company, and we've evolved over the past year to becoming a 2 product company, and then we'll actually have a couple more products coming out in the next 6 months or so. So these products will each try and hit different parts of the innovation problems that our customers are challenged with or faced with.
So as customers share their information on the innovation side, how does copyright and intellectual property, how does that play into this whole software
Sure.
piece? Who owns what? Do you own it once you come on this space, or who owns what?
No, I own nothing. So I mean, we own IdeaScale, the software platform that it's running on, but whatever's in there, it's always our customers' data. So customers, so I don't even have access to my customers' data unless they give me in writing permission to go in and take a look at something. Our customers typically run two types of campaigns, either internal campaigns where only their employees can see the data, their ideas, or sometimes they run public campaigns, like when that fast food company was reaching out to all of its customers. So the IP, the intellectual property, the secrecy of those ideas really belong to the company, and they can choose to make those private to their employees, or they can say, hey, we want all these ideas available and visible to everyone in the world. They're the customer's choice, but certainly none of it belongs to me. That's, our promise. We don't even look at your data unless you ask us to.
So if you have companies that are starting to do a lot of virtual assistants and have all these support globally, digital nomads and everything else, they can still keep control of their information. It sounds like there's a level of security in this whole thing, along with
So
the
we're
international property. Can you share some information about that?
Yeah, so we are incredibly secure. We have something called a FedRAMP qualification, which is one of the highest levels of security clearance that you have if you want to work with the US government as a technology provider. So that's incredibly difficult to obtain. It means our software is really good. It means our servers are secure. It means that there's no single point of failure. So even though I'm the CEO of the company, if you stole my phone and computer, you couldn't hack our systems because I don't have all the passwords. So our system is incredibly secure and it's designed that way, which is really good because our government customers demand it, and most of our enterprise customers require it. And they want to know that there's, idea data is really sensitive sometimes, and so they want to know that their data is secure. In terms of digital nomads, what I'd say is this: whether you have a workforce that's all working out of the same office, or a workforce that is distributed all over the world, at the end of the day, no software technology, no security protocols can protect you from bad actors. So if you don't trust your employees, then they can certainly do bad things to your systems and your data, but that's true of any technology. So it's really incumbent on any company to make sure that they are, A, they're hiring employees they can trust, B, they're monitoring their employees, and C, they're only giving their employees access to the systems that those employees need access to. A really simple example is, look, I trust all my employees, but does every employee in the company have access to our bank accounts? No, that would be crazy, right? Because you just need one person to do something bad that could have devastating impacts on your company. So you restrict system access. It's always good protocol to restrict system access to the people who actually need to use it, and make sure that the data in there is not something that could ever cause catastrophic loss.
Okay. So let me ask you this. How does it fit with all right, I'm familiar with pharmaceutical, aviation, airlines, in those places and spaces. Can you give us some use cases in like some industries like that you
Let's use
might have a client in? Is it used in diagnostic, or is it in the pharma or the medical device or consumer
We have
products?
customers. Yeah, we have customers in every space. We have toy companies, we have pharmaceutical companies, we have financial companies, we have accounting companies, because everybody needs to innovate and come up with new lines of business, new products, and continuous improvement. So we have one of the biggest three pharmaceutical companies in the world is one of our clients, and I think they use it for R&D purposes. They're using it to come up with new ideas for what their new drugs or biologics should be, so they can cure more diseases or alleviate pain and suffering. Right? That's what our software does. It helps you come up with new ideas and identify the good ideas, so you can really focus on the good ideas rather than get lost in the crowd of bad ideas that exist.
So I'm a consultant, business development, let's say. Now, I may not have the 500 people in the employees, but it does sound like you've got a platform that could really help certain places and spaces. If you've got major Fortune 500, Fortune 100 client lists, and you're working with them and you need to do some type of innovation on supply chain or anything high level, you're the place to be.
We are, yes, very
You're
strong. And
it.
by the way,
You are the
yeah,
it.
we are definitely the best idea management and innovation management platform that exists. I can say that with a straight face. But look, if you're a one-person consultant or a five-person consulting firm, you should still use our platform, because right now, whenever you have a great idea, where are you putting it? You're putting it on a piece of post-it note. Maybe you're emailing it to yourself, sticking it on a notepad, like a digital
No,
notepad
it's a
somewhere.
chat
What?
GPT.
Or yeah, or then it's sitting across like 100 different chats on ChatGPT. Why not stick into a centralized idea management platform like ours? That way, even if your idea is not useful to you today, you'll remember it 5 years from now because it's written in a place, and you can manage your entire idea portfolio. No different than you'd manage an investment portfolio or your CRM context. The analogy I like to use is we are the CRM for ideas.
I am so glad you're on the show. I know I'm going to start getting emails and texts like I got from this last episode. So, if somebody wanted to reach you, how do they reach you right now?
Sure. Three great ways to reach me. Number one, you can go to www.ideascale.com, which is the company website. Again, you can sign up totally free if you're with a small organization. The two other ways, if you want to reach me personally, number one is you find me on LinkedIn, Nick Jain. I respond to 100% of LinkedIn messages, so feel free to contact me. Or second, you can email me directly at nick.jain@ideascale.com.
Oh, this is wonderful. So, is there anything that I didn't ask that you want to share with us? What's going on?
No,
Something that you really want to talk about that I didn't think to ask? Why don't you share it with us? You've got a lot
uh,
going on in there.
I'm going to be a first-time father in 2 months, so that's something I'm kind of excited about.
Oh, that's really exciting. Oh my goodness. Well, I am so glad that you're on Pivoting to Web3 and you reached out to get on the podcast. I am excited about IdeaScale. I am sure this is really exciting for those that are listening in our audience. So once again, we are shaping tomorrow together with Nick Jain. And thank you for coming. And thank you for listening to Pivoting to Web3 podcast.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for checking in the Pivoting to Web3 podcast. Go to pivotingtoweb3podcast.com to download and listen, or Web3 Game Plan to check out the videos. Thank you. We're shaping tomorrow together.